Okay, I've been breeding compost worms for about and worm products for about 6 years now. Vermiculture is basically a culture that uses worms to transform waste, so-called waste. So it converts a problem, which is what we call a problem, organic waste, into an asset, which is plant food and material for the soil. Worms can destroy pathogens, and they can be also used in sewage treatment. They're wonderful. They have a contribution to make in the fight against global warming because anything that goes through a worm farm doesn't turn into methane when it gets into a landfill because worms operate in a aerobic rather than an anaerobic environment. Worms, as I mentioned, can restore soil health because they add huge amounts of microbes and soil flora into the and fauna into the soil. You can use almost any organic material in a worm system, and worms can accelerate the composting process by up to twofold, and the resulting compost is generally a lot stronger than regular compost. So the main products from vermiculture are, there's a spelling mistake, compost worms, which we sell. You can use them in your home worm garden. Obviously a lot of people here would have one of those. Medium-scale projects in schools, restaurants and institutions and so forth, and large-scale waste facilities. These are much more developed in places like the United States, but they have a big role to play in treating organic waste. About 50% apparently of landfill is actually compostable. And there's also worm toilets on the market now, and these are widely used in other countries. Now the worm castings are actually the secretions of the worms, and it just looks like soil. I've got a sample here if anyone wants to have a look later on. Fantastic soil conditioner, really adds a lot of life and vitality to the soil. And the third product is worm juice, which is a liquid form of the worm castings, which is easy to use. You can spray it onto your plants, onto the soil. I have farmers that are using it on broadacre application that put it through their boom sprays as a foliar or drip spray. Finally, what are the benefits of vermiculture? Well, there's a lot. Castings conserve water because they're full of mucous membranes and they actually hold 2 or 3 times their own weight, so you find that you use a lot less water in the garden. When you use castings and worm products, you're feeding the soil rather than feeding the plant, which is what chemical fertilisers do. So you feed the soils and the plants take care of themselves. The scales are enormous. You can have one in an apartment, or you can have one on a massive scale to replace in sewage farms and in waste processing plants. They're decentralised. You can set them up locally, distribution networks. They also don't need hydrocarbon fertilisers, so you don't need fuels to produce the fertiliser, like you don't need oil and stuff. Cost effective and use in the developing world. And that's a photograph of a worm farm that we're setting up in Cambodia. Thank you very much.